World trade today involves a complicated network of supply chain stakeholders. Delivery from the foreign production factory to the domestic retail establishment relies upon goods movement from shore to ship, across the ocean, and then onto another shore. Ultimately, the disembarked cargo travels overland to the final destination. This intermodal movement entails a mixture of timing, scheduling, logistics, technology, and labor. As the cargo volume grows, the likelihood for delays, errors, and congestion also increases accordingly. When analyzing the competitive transport of products from creation to consumption, efficiency experts discuss the concepts of cost reduction, speed of throughput, automation, cargo consolidation, environmental impact, and infrastructure capacity. In the end, all of these concepts are subsets of two ubiquitous words: containers and innovation. Long before there was a modern world trade industry, ancient philosophers contemplated the essence of what today we call efficiency. Plato, Aristotle, and later St. Thomas Aquinas all ruminated about the relationship between what was the potential to what was the actual. Perhaps, had there been cargo containers in the time of René Descartes, he may have modified his famous statement proving self-existence. In that case, he might have stated, "I think, therefore I can." Knowing the challenges preventing the efficient movement of containers in the modern world, today's business philosophers embrace the theory of innovation as the all-encompassing solution. Whereas containers represent the actual object, the value of innovation is the promise of potential yet to be achieved. Based on this notion of moving from the actual to the potential, supply chain optimization groups associated with the local ports are studying obstacles that need to be overcome for the San Pedro Bay and affiliated areas. It is hoped that these studies will identify opportunities where information can be shared and cooperation can be encouraged across the industry. The goal is to move as many containers as possible, as quickly as possible, with the least amount of congestion and environmental impact. Efficiency considerations include the following questions. How does the San Pedro Bay compare with competitors on the West Coast and overseas, where various applications of automation are utilized to move containers rapidly with maximum cost savings? Should the local harbor be compared with high-tech Chinese and European harbors as part of the quest for greater efficiency? Are the various local appointment systems for container retrieval working as intended? Is it possible to create a cooperative harbor-wide uniform appointment system that benefits everyone?
An appointment system success really depends on people buying into it. So the MTOs need to be confident that they will save money and time, and the trucker will actually be there. So the MTO is always worried about, will the trucker be there? The trucker has no interest in an appointment system unless it saves him or her time, and that trucker can trust that it will actually happen. So what's really, really critical here is launching a system-wide program where it works from the beginning.
Assuming that efficiency can be gained by applying the best practices of competitors in regard to day-to-day marine terminal operations, there are also policy implications and external factors that need to be considered. For example, is there too much free time allowed for containers in the marine terminals? How does this courtesy contribute to congestion? Are beneficial cargo owners willing and prepared to move their containers out of the terminals in a timely manner?
So my sense is that you have some are ready to pick it up, they want it, and they're going to move it quickly. There's another segment of the customers and the BCOs that maybe not so much so. They want extended free time, they might have extended free time, they might not have extended free time, they just pay the demurrage. The charges that go into place when you extend your free time. So some customers are doing that. Why that is, it could be that maybe they don't need a product that's come in at the time that it's coming in, and they might want to wait for a week or so before they bring it in. They might have congestion within their distribution centers, things of that nature. It could be a multitude of reasons, but there are definitely two segments of customers, those that are moving it fairly quickly and those that not so much.
There are considerations about container congestion that should occur at the origin of ship loading. A streamlining process could involve more strategic planning before containers are stacked onto the megaships in the Far East. Accordingly, can the ocean carriers plan more efficiently at the ports of origin so that not only are the rail-bound containers placed on top, but also the local delivery import containers are block stowed together?
So yes, it was a big issue, and when we formed the supply chain optimization group, one of the first things we tackled was block stow as a core issue. And the ocean carriers have in fact been working and cooperating on this. It's certainly high on their list. But the challenge is always now with these alliances and with these alliance partners working together operationally, they really have to engage a whole new level of discipline and cooperation among the different ocean carriers to make it happen. So it is improving. We're now seeing a better mix. Certainly they are able to do it. It takes more thought, more planning, and it takes a priority to make that happen. But yes, it can happen, and it is beginning to happen.
Can the expansion of on-dock rail and near-dock rail facilities in the LA Long Beach Harbor make a real difference in getting containers to discretionary cargo owners in a faster time frame?
The Port of Los Angeles has the best on-dock rail network in the United States. With the completion of the TraPac on-dock rail later this year, all our terminals will offer on-dock rail service, which is a strong selling point. We continue to evaluate our current on-dock rail capabilities and look for opportunities to expand our current on-dock rail to accommodate growth. At YTI, we're adding additional loading tracks, and studies are underway to increase the capacity at WBCT and APMT. On-dock rail plays a significant role in our future success and competitiveness for U.S. inland markets. On-dock and near-dock rail will also provide the port with more cargo throughput as more pressure is placed in the coming years to reduce drayage congestion and emissions on our roadways.
Ultimately, the megaships will bring with them many thousands of containers at a time, forcing periodic surges of containers from fewer ships as opposed to steady streams of containers from more of the smaller ships. In this scenario, how can the local terminals in the San Pedro Bay smooth out the surges of megaship deliveries in ways that don't jam the freeways or fill up the terminal stacking space in large spurts? Does the harbor area need to increase the number of yards used as weigh stations for containers which have been placed on chassis? Is the infrastructure outside the terminal gates sufficient to handle the surges of containers that come with the megaship deliveries? What can be done about infrastructure problems in the short term and the long term?
Obviously, we need a highway capacity to handle the truck volumes. And we proposed in the regional transportation plan for the region about 600 lane miles of exclusive truckways, where trucks will actually have their own lanes. It will be tolled facility, it will be clean facility. Trucks will be using their own lanes to get from A to B. That's good in many fronts. One is improve speeds for the trucks, the movement of goods, but two, it's also frees capacity for the passenger vehicles because trucks will be moving to the exclusive truck lanes. This type of infrastructure is costly, and the estimates for the 600 lane miles is about $23 billion.
Another component to the local goods movement industry is the impact it has on the quality of life in the local community. In addition to the quality of life questions is the state and federal concern about the harbor's carbon footprint. An ambitious California regulatory mandate of zero emissions for the San Pedro Bay goods movement industry will impact the possibility of growth in cargo and jobs. As such, are environmental regulations requiring strict adherence to ambitious emissions reductions creating unintended consequences for the goods movement industry of Southern California? How can public health concerns and related carbon footprint considerations coexist with cargo growth?
When you look at how to control the emissions, yes, you need to look at it in phases. It's not all going to happen overnight. And you can't say, okay, you reduced yesterday this much, so tomorrow you have to reduce that much. You have to look at what is feasible, what's cost effective. You have to look at the effect on the economy, on jobs. If you over-regulate, if you do something that's impossible, you could be shutting down an industry. So you have to set realistic goals, and then you have to allow some time for the technology to catch up. Sometimes it's just a matter of there's no technology out there to obtain the emission reductions that you want.
These and other issues will need to be addressed if the Southern California goods movement industry is to continue to grow and thrive in the future. The local economy is at risk, as are thousands of jobs related to international trade. Innovation in business operations and adopting the best practices of successful competitors will place the San Pedro Bay in a stronger position to meet the challenges of a dynamic global trade system. In the near future, stakeholders in the local harbor will have the opportunity to turn the potential into the actual, in whatever form that may take.